Have you ever felt like your mind is running like an overloaded computer, constantly opening dozens of apps at once without being able to shut them down? You wake up in a rush. Your head is full of voices. Your emotions rise and fall like waves. You're not sure what you're anxious about. You don't know what's making you sad. You just feel heavy, exhausted, and lost. Maybe you've tried meditation but found it hard to focus. Tried running but just wanted to crawl back into bed. Tried reading but lacked the patience. And then you think, maybe I need a vacation, a detox, or some big change. But the truth is, you don't need to add anything. You just need less and more awareness. This video isn't about adding new habits. It's about pausing and becoming aware of what's happening inside you. You won't need to meditate for 30 minutes every morning, hit the gym, or escape your life. All you need is to observe yourself, how you think, feel, speak, react, and even stay silent. You'll see that by simply shifting your awareness, your entire way of living will move in a completely new direction. No cost, no tools, just presence. In this journey, I'll share 10 principles for living that will help you reset your mind and emotions without doing anything extra. Each principle is an invisible habit, but if you practice it, it will change how you see life forever. Get ready. What you're about to hear doesn't promise ease, but it will bring you back to the most reliable place, within yourself. And if you're looking for a space to nurture awareness, to learn how to live more deeply, clearly, and authentically each day, please like this video to support it, subscribe to the channel to stay updated, and comment below one thing you'd like to reset in your mind or emotions. Don't forget to share this video with someone you believe could use a moment of stillness to reconnect with themselves. Number 1, voluntary discomfort. No one likes discomfort. From a young age, we're programmed to seek ease, comfort, and convenience. When it's cold, we seek warmth. When emotions surge, we seek distraction. When an uncomfortable thought arises, we turn on our phone, watch a video, eat something, or simply scroll until our mind goes numb. But while we constantly run from discomfort, our inner weakness grows day by day. The Stoics didn't avoid discomfort. They walked straight into it. They called it voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing unease not to punish themselves, but to train their ability to control their mind in unfavorable conditions. Because if you're only calm when everything feels good, you're living at the mercy of circumstances. But if you can stay composed amidst difficulty, you've truly begun to master yourself. Voluntary discomfort doesn't have to involve grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as taking a cold shower in the morning, saying no when you'd usually avoid it, eating slowly when your mind is racing, sitting with a negative emotion without reacting. Each time you deliberately step into unease, you expand your mental tolerance. You teach your brain that you're in control, not the circumstances. Gradually, you'll find yourself more resilient, alert, and free from the challenges that once overwhelmed you. A cold shower is an incredibly simple yet effective example. When the cold water hits, your body instinctively wants to flee. Your mind screams, tenses, and demands an escape. But if you just stand there, observe the sensation, breathe steadily, and don't react, you're training a crucial muscle, emotional regulation. The same happens when you face an awkward social situation without dodging it, when you say something difficult but true, when you let sadness pass without needing to fix it immediately. These small acts are the gym for your inner strength. In an era where everything is designed for instant comfort, from fast food to instant entertainment, choosing discomfort feels counterintuitive. But that's exactly the key. Because if you always stay in your comfort zone, you'll never learn to thrive in chaos. And the reality is, life will have chaos. People won't behave as you hope. Plans won't go as expected. Health, finances, relationships, All can change at any moment. You can't control the flow of life, but you can prepare your mind for it. And there's no better way than practicing in environments you create, where you deliberately embrace inconvenience for the sake of resilience. Another example is fasting for a set period, not to lose weight, but to teach your body and mind that you can endure a craving without satisfying it immediately. When hunger hits, if you just sit with it, observe it without resisting or indulging, you'll see it rise and fall like a wave. In that moment, you realize you're far stronger than fleeting feelings. This builds profound confidence. You don't need everything to be just right to be okay. Voluntary discomfort can also show up in daily interactions. For instance, not avoiding a tough conversation, choosing to speak clearly, kindly, and honestly, even if it might upset someone. The discomfort of those few minutes teaches you more than years of keeping the peace by tolerating. You learn to confront without impulsiveness, to stay grounded while remaining compassionate. That's inner strength, firm yet gentle, steady yet flexible, not from theory, but from real experience. The key is you don't need to wait for hardship to train. You can choose discomfort every day. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Tackle the task you dread most first thing in the morning. Speak the truth even if your heart races. Stop scrolling and sit in silence for 5 minutes. Each choice is like a weight you lift for your mind. The more you lift, the stronger you get. And when a truly tough day comes, you don't collapse. You stand firm because you've trained for it. If the idea of voluntary discomfort resonates with you, hit the like button to affirm that you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, not to suffer, but to forge yourself. Comment below one small thing you can do today to challenge yourself a bit. And if you want to keep learning how to build inner strength through simple yet profound principles, subscribe to the channel, because we don't wait for the perfect moment to become strong. We create strength through the uncomfortable choices we make every day. Number 2, practice keeping your silence. In a world where everyone wants to speak, react, and prove themselves right, keeping silent becomes a rare form of strength. Silence doesn't mean passivity or weakness. On the contrary, it's a sign of a disciplined inner self that knows when to speak and when words are unnecessary. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They practiced silence not just to conserve words, but as a tool to observe, to step back before reacting, and to avoid being drawn into things unworthy of their inner peace. In an era of quick comments, instant reactions, and endless debates, silence isn't a flaw. It's a deliberate choice. Notice how most emotional turmoil begins with reacting too quickly. A thoughtless word, a status posted in anger, a message sent because silence feels like losing. We forget that we don't always need to have a voice. Silence, when chosen consciously, is a deeper form of communication than any words. It gives you time to reflect inward. It allows emotions to settle rather than spread like wildfire. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never speak of anything unless it needs to be said." This might sound extreme in a world where everyone feels entitled to speak, but it's a reminder of restraint. Not every thought needs to become words. Not every story needs your input. Not every emotion needs immediate expression. Imagine in an argument choosing silence instead of firing back. In that moment, you give yourself the chance to listen more clearly, not just to the other person's words, but to your own inner response. You might realize that what you were about to say was just a reflex of a wounded ego, not the voice of reason. Silence is also a way to avoid unnecessary battles. Some people don't need your reaction, they need your stillness. Some insults only grow into flames when met with a response. But when you stay silent, when you choose not to reply, explain, or stoop to their level, you reclaim control. You're saying you don't need to prove anything. You don't live by praise or criticism. Your quietness forces even the loudest to question themselves. A simple practice is to pause for a few seconds before speaking in anger and ask yourself, do these words need to be said? Will they make me a better version of myself? Do they serve clarity, or are they just venting emotion? This small question is a gateway to wisdom, because most regrets in communication come not from what we didn't say, but from what we said too soon, too harshly, too impulsively. Silence is also the space for deep listening. When you stop talking, you truly start to hear, not just others but yourself, the voice beneath the layers of emotion, the voice of intuition, of understanding. A deeply introspective person isn't one who's always thinking, but one who's always observing. They notice others, the room's atmosphere, a glance, a pause, a hesitation, and even what's left unsaid. In that silence, they see things the noisy never notice. In close relationships, keeping silence at the right moment is even more important than being honest. Not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. Not every emotion needs to be poured out. Wise honesty means knowing when to step back, giving others space to realize what they need to learn. Sometimes a nod instead of a lengthy speech has far greater power to soothe. If you're used to always reacting, always saying something, always voicing your opinion in every situation, silence will feel uncomfortable at first, but that's your chance to observe yourself. Observe the urge to speak. Observe the unease of staying quiet. Observe the ego wanting to jump in to feel valued. By simply observing, you begin to untangle the cords tying you to old reflexes. Silence isn't retreating from the world. It's how you show up in the world with awareness. And if you practice it long enough, you'll realize you don't need to say much to be heard. Don't need to react to prove your strength. By choosing purposeful silence, you're already the strongest person in the room. If you see value in keeping silence at the right time, hit the like button to affirm that you're practicing this quiet strength daily. Comment below about a recent situation where you chose silence over reaction and what happened. And if you want to keep learning how to live deeply, quietly yet powerfully, subscribe to the channel to catch the next videos, because some of life's greatest lessons can only be heard in silence. Number 3, Amor, Fati, love your fate. There's a principle of living foundational to Stoic philosophy that not only helps you stand firm in adversity, but transforms adversity into the raw material for growth. It's called Amor Fati, a Latin phrase meaning love your fate, not reluctant acceptance, not silent endurance, but love. Loving both the bad and the good. Loving what you choose and what you can't control. Amor Fati teaches you to embrace everything that happens as if you chose it, as if it's an essential part of your journey to becoming the person you were born to be. You've likely heard sayings like, everything happens for a reason, or the sun will shine after the rain. But Amor Fati isn't empty comfort. It's a genuine practice, a mindset that demands you face reality head on and say, I choose to love this, even if it's uncomfortable, unfair, or unclear to me now. In every moment of chaos, hurt, disappointment, or loss, Amor Fati reminds you that this, not something else, is the lesson you need to learn. When Marcus Aurelius lost his beloved son, he didn't scream at the heavens, cursing fate. Instead, he wrote in Meditations, nothing happens to me that isn't in harmony with nature, and if nature wills it, so do I. This wasn't quiet surrender, but an active choice to love life wholly, not just its pleasant parts. We often split life into two, what we like and what we avoid. Joy, success, praise, we welcome. Trouble, pain, failure, we resist. But the more we resist, the more it hurts. The more we avoid, the more we exhaust ourselves. Life doesn't bend to our wishes, it comes as it is. The Stoics knew suffering lies not in our feelings, but in our attitude toward them. Amor Fati invites you to dissolve that gap, to stop fighting reality and instead step into it, live fully within it, and grow from it. Imagine a day when you lose your job, your partner leaves, and your health falters. Your first reflex might be, why me? But if you swap that question for, what is this training in me? You've entered the spirit of Amor Fati. Maybe losing your job is a chance to start something you've delayed. Maybe the breakup opens a path to deeper self-understanding. Maybe your health issues force a shift from an unhealthy lifestyle. Amor Fati doesn't make you a naive optimist, but helps you see life with wider eyes. Every event is a rightful part of the whole. A practice you can start today is to write down things in your life you're unhappy with. Then, instead of judging or rushing to change them, write this beneath each one. I choose to love this as part of the journey I need to take. At first, it'll feel forced, even rebellious inside, but observe that resistance without erasing it. Over time, something strange happens. When you stop fighting reality and start living in harmony with it, you reclaim something priceless, inner freedom. Amor Fati doesn't mean sitting idly by. It doesn't clash with action. Instead, it fuels wiser action. You no longer act from anger or despair, but from clarity. You don't react to escape, but respond to align with reality. Like a sailor who can't control the wind, but adjusts the sails, Amor Fati is how you adjust within to stay on course, no matter the wind's direction. A simple example: when you encounter a difficult coworker, instead of thinking, I wish they'd disappear, try, this person is here to train my calm, kindness, or patience. In that moment, instead of sinking into negativity, you reclaim agency. You're no longer a victim of circumstance, but a learner from it. Every irritating person, every unwelcome situation, every heavy emotion, each becomes a lesson cloaked in challenge. If you face loss, pain, or failure, and are searching for meaning to move forward, Amor Fati can be a mental turning point. You don't need to fully grasp why it happened. Just choose to live with the belief that, perhaps unseen, this is necessary, and you'll love it, not just endure it. If this principle stirs something in you, hit the like button to affirm you're ready not just to accept, but to embrace reality. Share in the comments a life event you're learning to love instead of resent. And if you want to continue building inner strength from life's imperfections, subscribe to the channel, because loving your fate is the deepest way to make fate your ally. Number 4, set internal goals instead of external ones. In a world where people are swept up in chasing external goals, money, fame, personal achievements, or social media followers, the Stoics chose a different path. They set internal goals, not because they didn't care about results or success, but because they understood that external factors are beyond our control. Outcomes can be swayed by countless unpredictable variables we can't master. But the internal is different. You may not control whether you get a promotion, but you can control how you work. You can't dictate whether others love or hate you, but you can govern how you treat them. And so the Stoics didn't ask, what did I achieve? But have I lived true to my values? Imagine a writer aiming to sell 10,000 books and hit the bestseller list. That's an external goal. If the book flops, they're likely to feel disappointed or give up. But if their goal is to write 500 words daily with sincerity and discipline, they can feel successful even if sales are low, because they kept their commitment. When you shift your focus from what you get to who you become, you stop depending on the world's feedback. You start living from within, and that's true liberation. Ancient Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius knew peace doesn't lie in results, but in living aligned with your principles. If you aim to live justly, kindly, and mindfully, every moment becomes a chance to practice. Each day you live true to what you believe is right, you've succeeded, whether the world acknowledges it or not. No one can take that inner fulfillment from you. It's the most enduring, profound, and unshakable achievement a person can have. A simple practice is this. Each morning, instead of listing tasks, write a list of ways to be you want to uphold. For example, today, I'll work with focus, speak with calm, and end the day with gratitude. These are internal goals. You can still have deadlines, work targets, or sales quotas, but don't let them define your worth. Use them as a training ground for your inner qualities. This small shift will help you navigate a workday without getting caught in comparison, pressure, or pointless anxiety. Someone with internal goals isn't easily swayed by fleeting success. They don't let praise inflate their ego or criticism derail them. Their standard lies within, where only they know if they've been honest, persistent, or kind. They don't rush for results knowing success is secondary, growth is primary, and growth doesn't come from winning, but from living rightly. Even if it costs you, even if no one notices, even if it goes unrecognized. You might be chasing an external goal, more money, weight loss, a higher position. There's nothing wrong with those. But if you measure yourself solely by those outcomes, you'll always be uneasy. Achieve them, and you'll fear losing them. Fall short, and you'll feel inadequate. But if you set internal goals like working diligently, staying committed to your health, or living true to your values, you can succeed every day because you decide. Try it today. Pick an action, work, study, or interaction, and set an internal goal for it. Not I'll win, but I'll be honest. Not I'll be liked, but I'll be kind. Not I'll be the best, but I'll learn as much as I can. Do this daily and you'll notice a quiet but profound shift. You feel lighter, more in control, and less swayed by what others think or say about you. If you see value in setting your life's goals from within, hit the like button to affirm you're ready to live on your own terms, not others' expectations. Share in the comments one internal goal you'll set for today. And if you want to continue the journey of returning to your true essence, living from your core instead of the surface, don't forget to subscribe, because the greatest achievement isn't out there. It's in how true you've been to yourself in every step you take. Number 5, what you run from runs your life. There's a truth most of us know, but few want to admit. The things you avoid are the ones silently controlling you. The fear you haven't faced, the memory you refuse to revisit, the conversation you keep delaying, the emotion you sidestep. These don't disappear. They linger in the shadows of your mind, shaping how you think, feel, and act every day. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell you to become numb or blindly brave. Instead, it invites you to walk straight into your fear, not to conquer it, but to look at it squarely and reclaim the control you've unknowingly surrendered. Epictetus said you're not harmed by what happens to you, but by how you think about it. But if you don't dare look at it, you'll never know what you're thinking, what you believe, or what's driving you. Maybe you're dodging failure by always playing it safe. Maybe you're escaping loneliness by clinging to unhealthy relationships. Maybe you're avoiding old wounds by keeping everyone at arm's length. On the surface, you might seem fine, but inside, you're living a life dictated by what you refuse to face. What you run from might be a part of you, your weakness, your mistakes, your unhealed pain. But by not acknowledging it, you can't understand or integrate it. You live as if you're only your strong, okay, positive parts. The more you deny the rest, the more it manipulates you. It's like a shadow you refuse to light up. It startles you every time you turn away. You expend so much energy pretending it doesn't affect you, while it quietly drains your inner strength. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what are you quietly running from? The feeling of not being enough? A mistake you haven't forgiven yourself for? A necessary conversation you keep putting off? A dream you abandoned for fear of failing again? Everyone has something. Only by naming it can you start to reclaim control of your life. The Stoics teach that you can't control circumstances, but you can control how you respond. To control your response, you must face what triggers it. No avoiding, no blaming, no suppressing. Instead, observe, question, and sit with it like an old friend from the past. Most of what you fear stems from an unprocessed memory, an untouched pain, an unresolved event. And here's the strange thing. When you look at it directly, without running or judging, it's often smaller than you thought. Fear, when seen clearly, is usually less daunting than imagined. Start simply. When you feel the urge to procrastinate on something uncomfortable, pause and ask, what am I avoiding? What emotion lies beneath this delay? Don't rush to fix it. Just observe. Write it down if you want. Let honesty seep into every word, because only in that space of truth can real change begin. Once you see what you're avoiding, you can choose differently, and in that choice lies true freedom. The fascinating thing is, when you stop running, what you fear stops chasing you. It no longer needs to because you've welcomed it. You've given it a seat in the room of your mind. From a terrifying guest, it becomes part of you, no longer manipulative, only instructive. The Stoics didn't seek to erase fear, but to live with it mindfully. They knew nothing is stronger than someone who's made peace with their own darkness. If this section makes you think of something you're avoiding, hit the like button to mark the moment you start turning to face it. Share in the comments, if you're ready, one thing you've been running from and now want to confront. And if you want to keep learning how to master your life with honesty and awareness, don't forget to subscribe, because your life isn't shaped by what you avoid, but by what you have the courage to face and overcome. Number 6, continuously check and adjust your thinking. Your mind is like an operating system. If you don't regularly check and update it, it runs on outdated, glitch-filled patterns. A negative thought from the past, left unchecked and repeated, becomes a belief. That belief fuels emotions. Emotions drive behavior, and behavior shapes your life. This is why the Stoics devoted so much time to examining their thoughts. Not once in a lifetime, but every day, even multiple times a day. They understood, if you don't control what's happening in your head, you can't control how you live. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, kept a nightly journal to reflect on his thoughts from the day. He didn't write to capture memories, but to audit his thinking. What did I think wrongly? Where did I overreact? What do I believe that's no longer true? This was his way of maintaining the system of his mind daily. And he did this not because he was weak, but because he was an emperor who needed clarity amid immense pressure. The lesson is clear. You don't wait for your mind to crash before checking it. You check it regularly to keep it healthy. We often assume what we think is true, but most of the time, our thoughts are just unexamined stories we tell ourselves. For example, someone doesn't reply to your message, and you instantly think, they don't respect me. That thought triggers hurt, leading to cold or distant behavior. But if you pause and ask, am I sure? Maybe they're busy or just forgot. That single question can rewire the entire chain of reactions. That's the power of regularly checking and adjusting your thinking. You stop being a victim of the stories in your head. A simple practice is this. Whenever a negative emotion arises, anger, jealousy, hurt, insecurity, ask immediately, what thought is driving this feeling? Do I have evidence for it? Does it help me live better? If the answer is no, you're free to choose a new thought. You don't have to believe everything you think. You just need to choose thoughts that make you live more clearly, deeply, and meaningfully. Just as you don't eat everything you see, you don't need to believe everything you think. Your mind is like a muscle. What you repeatedly think becomes a habit. People who dwell on negativity aren't necessarily living worse lives. They've just practiced negative thinking too often without realizing it. Conversely, those who remain calm in hardship have trained themselves to check and adjust their thoughts when needed. They don't let emotions dictate behavior. They let clear thinking guide their actions. The result? They live proactively, clearly, and less swayed by automatic reactions. Try this simple rule. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause and instead of asking, is this true? Ask, is this helpful? A thought might be true but unhelpful, like I failed before. True, but it doesn't move you forward. Instead, shift to, I failed before, and what did I learn from it? It's like adjusting a compass. You don't change the past, but you change how you move forward. You can't choose everything that happens to you, but you can choose how you think about it. And that makes a profound difference. It determines whether you live in anger or forgiveness, hurt or understanding, anxiety or confidence. Your mind is where your reality begins. By learning to check and adjust it regularly, you give yourself the key to living freely, peacefully, and purposefully. If this practice resonates with you, hit the like button as a commitment to stop living by default thoughts and start consciously observing, checking, and choosing when needed. Share in the comments a negative thought you once believed was true, only to realize it was just a story. And if you want to keep training your mind strength daily, don't forget to subscribe. Because growth isn't about thinking less, it's about thinking better, deeper, and freer. Number 7, distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. A core Stoic principle can transform how you live, think, and feel if truly embraced. Clearly distinguish between what lies within your control and what doesn't. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest lessons modern humans need to relearn. We live in a world designed to make us believe we can control nearly everything. We plan meticulously, set precise goals, hold clear expectations, and when things don't go as planned, we fall into disappointment, anger, or disorientation. But the truth is, the world doesn't bend to our will. Trying to control what's beyond our reach only drains our energy without bringing any peace. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, began his Enchiridion with a blunt truth. Some things are up to you, and some are not. What's up to you? Your thoughts, emotions, actions, and reactions. What's not? The weather, others' behavior, outcomes, the past, and much of the future. When you grasp this boundary, you stop wasting energy on what you can't control and focus your mind on the one thing you can master, yourself. Picture a simple example. You send an important email to your boss, pitching an idea you spent weeks preparing. You control the content's quality, presentation, and your attitude while writing. But your boss's reaction, whether they like it or respond positively or indifferently, is outside your control. If you focus only on what you can do, you'll feel at ease after sending it, whatever the outcome. But if you obsess over how your boss must respond, you'll live in anxiety all day. This is a clear case of misplacing your focus, and the cost is your peace of mind. We often worry about what hasn't happened yet, the future. But the future, by nature, isn't within our control. You can prepare, anticipate, and plan, but you can't dictate the final outcome. So the only thing that matters is what you're doing now to increase the odds of your desired result. Even after doing your best, you must learn to let go of the rest. Because sometimes things won't go your way, not because you're not good enough, but because life has its own way of unfolding. A practical exercise is this. When you feel stressed, pause and write down the situation making you feel out of control. Then split it into 2 columns, one for what you can control, one for what you can't. Ask, where am I putting my energy? This seemingly simple task can restore clarity instantly. When you see you're holding on to things that aren't yours to control, you'll feel an odd sense of relief. The Stoics weren't passive or unfeeling. They acted decisively, but only within the limits of what they could control. They didn't blame the world for unwanted outcomes, nor did they judge their worth by success or failure. To them, a good life wasn't about societal success, but about staying calm, clear, and kind, no matter the circumstances. And that's only possible when you focus on what's within your control. Living by this principle saves immense mental energy. Instead of scattering your attention everywhere, you focus on improving yourself, caring for your health, sharpening your mind, upholding your values, and acting with full presence. These are small things, but done consistently, they create an inner stability that withstands external chaos. From that stable foundation, you can live a life of depth, unshaken by the world's storms. If this principle feels valuable, hit the like button to affirm you'll start distinguishing what's yours to control and what isn't. Share in the comments a specific situation where you're learning to let go of control. And if you want to continue the journey of living mindfully, steadily, and free from what you can't master, don't forget to subscribe. Because true freedom doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from stopping the world from controlling you. Number 8, practice inner self-examination. Every morning is a fresh start, but most of us don't live that way. We wake up and are almost instantly swept into the familiar whirlwind of messages, notifications, work schedules, chores, responsibilities, deadlines, and expectations. Yet there's a simple but profoundly powerful practice the Stoics used thousands of years ago to stay grounded amid life's greatest challenges. Inner self-examination every morning. No deep meditation, no complex rituals. Just a few quiet minutes to ask yourself one vital question. What values will I live by today? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor of ancient Rome, spent each morning writing to himself, not to record events, but to prepare his mind for the day ahead. He didn't ask, "What do I have to do today?" but "How will I hold myself when facing what I don't expect?" He knew the world's events weren't what mattered most. It was how he faced them. Morning self-examination is a form of mental preparation. You can't control the world, but you can shape how you show up in it. When you sit down, even for 2 minutes, and ask, "How do I want to live today?" you steer your mind toward proactivity instead of reactivity. You're no longer swept along by chance, but begin to live with purpose. A simple way to practice this is to write down 3 things each morning. One quality you want to embody, like patience, honesty, or calm. One situation you know might challenge you today, and how you want to respond when it happens. For example, if you anticipate a frustrating meeting, you might write, "When faced with criticism, I'll keep my tone calm and not let my ego take over." Writing this beforehand is like mentally rehearsing for a tough moment, and when it arrives, you're far more prepared than if you'd done nothing. This small habit can make a big difference over time. It builds awareness, boosts emotional self-regulation, and makes you feel like you're living with direction instead of being carried away. More importantly, it reminds you each morning that you're not here just to complete tasks, but to become a person of value. And that value isn't automatic. It's built bit by bit through small, personal choices every day. Mornings are when your brain is most receptive. If you start the day with self-examination instead of checking your phone, your mind stays clearer, less swayed by fleeting emotions, and more resilient against distractions. Modern neuroscience backs this. What you engage with in the first hour after waking shapes your mental state for the day. So instead of filling your brain with negative news or social media, take a few minutes to turn inward. You don't need to write pages. A single line is enough. One question will do. The one I often use is, if today were my last day, how would I want to act? It might sound heavy, but it actually lifts unnecessary pressure. When you remember time is finite, you stop wanting to waste it on meaningless things, petty emotions, or actions that clash with your values. Try this for 7 days. Each morning before doing anything else, sit for a moment, breathe deeply, write or think quietly. Who am I? What am I aiming for? How will I respond to challenges? You'll be surprised how your perspective shifts. You'll realize that just a few minutes of pausing each morning can reset your emotional and mental system for the entire day. If you see value in morning self-examination, hit the like button to commit to starting your mornings differently, from within. Share in the comments one question you'll ask yourself tomorrow morning. And if you want to keep building a life rooted in awareness, self-mastery, and mental depth, don't forget to subscribe. Because each morning isn't just a time to wake up, it's a chance to awaken yourself. Number 9, accept the uncertainty of life. If there's one certain thing in life, it's this: nothing is certain. No matter how meticulously you plan or how carefully you predict, some part of reality will always slip beyond your control. It could be a sudden rain ruining the picnic you planned for weeks, an unexpected breakup, a medical diagnosis upending your future, or simply an email that never gets a reply. Uncertainty is the essence of life, yet, paradoxically, most of us spend our lives fighting it. We plan, set expectations, build visions, and when life deviates from that script, we feel disappointed, angry, anxious, or lost. The Stoics didn't try to eliminate uncertainty. They learned to live with it. They understood that demanding certainty in an ever-changing world only breeds suffering. It's like trying to hold water in your hand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through. Wisdom lies not in controlling what happens, but in preparing your mind to handle whatever comes. To do that, you must accept that uncertainty isn't your enemy, but an essential part of a rich, meaningful life. Imagine if you knew everything that would happen in your life, who would love you, what job you'd have, when you'd lose loved ones, where you'd succeed or fail. Would life still feel worth living? Probably not. It's because you don't know that you feel. It's because you can lose that you cherish. It's because you can fail that you learn. And it's because nothing is guaranteed that you live more deeply in each moment. Uncertainty from another angle isn't what makes you anxious. It's what gives life depth and value. We often fear uncertainty because we tie our identity to things that can vanish. Jobs, status, relationships, money. But if you learn to maintain inner stability in a world of constant change, you'll no longer be shaken by every wave. The Stoics called this the inner citadel, the ability to stand firm despite loss, stay calm when circumstances shift, and hold on to yourself when the world changes. A powerful practice is to ask yourself daily, if all my plans change today, what qualities can I still hold on to? It might be calm, kindness, a learning mindset, or acceptance. When you identify what can't be taken away because it's your choice, you stop fearing the loss of what's external. You shift from hoping things go smoothly to ready for any scenario. That's true confidence, not from knowing the future, but from knowing you can face any future. In daily life, you can practice accepting uncertainty in small ways. When an appointment changes at the last minute, instead of getting frustrated or blaming, see it as a chance to practice flexibility. When someone reacts differently than you expected, use it as an opportunity to adjust your expectations. When a project fails, view it as a signal to learn something new or pivot. Life doesn't owe you a smooth journey, but it's always ready to teach you if you observe without judgment. Uncertainty is also the space where magic happens. The best things often come unexpectedly: a chance meeting, an unplanned opportunity, a loss that turns into a new beginning. But if you cling to your old script, you leave no room for the new to enter. Accepting uncertainty doesn't mean abandoning life. It means doing your best and then letting go of the rest, with trust that, whatever the outcome, you'll be okay because you know who you are. If this section stirs something in you, hit the like button to say, I'm ready to live fully with uncertainty. Share in the comments one thing in your life you once tried to control, but are now learning to release. And if you want to keep building resilience in an ever-changing world, don't forget to subscribe. Because certainty doesn't come from everything going your way. It comes from no longer needing it to live deeply and peacefully. Number 10, community over individual. In an era where individuality, self-reliance, and the ego are celebrated to the extreme, a Stoic principle offers a vital balance. Live for the community, not just for yourself. The Stoics didn't dismiss the individual's role, but they believed a person only becomes whole by recognizing they're an inseparable part of a greater whole. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with ultimate power, reminded himself daily that he wasn't born to rule others, but to serve the community, living in harmony with humanity like fingers on a single hand. Modern humans often drown in isolation, despite being more connected than ever through social media. We may chat with hundreds daily via messages, but lack real connections, open sharing, empathetic glances, or selfless acts for others. We mistake strength for needing no one, thinking independence is the peak of maturity. But true strength lies in connecting deeply with others without losing yourself. It's not about withdrawing but opening up, not being the center but a useful part. The Stoics believed each person is part of a unified whole, like a cell in a body. When a cell serves the whole, it thrives and is nourished. But when it lives only for itself, refusing its role, it becomes cancerous. This may sound harsh, but it's the foundation for a life of depth and lasting meaning. When you live solely for yourself, you soon feel empty. But when you know you're contributing to something bigger, you find a reason to exist. That reason doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be real. A daily practice is to ask, am I doing something to help someone today? It might be listening to a friend with full attention, helping a stranger without expecting thanks, or offering honest feedback instead of judgment. Each small outward act not only benefits others, but reinforces your belief that you're living rightly. Crucially, you don't do it for gratitude or recognition. You do it because it's the human nature you want to cultivate. Living for the community doesn't mean losing yourself or sacrificing to exhaustion. It's a balance between knowing who you are and understanding you don't exist in isolation. It's maintaining personal boundaries while staying open, holding your principles while listening, living by values while being flexible to understand others. When you shift from I to we, you feel lighter, less pressured, and more connected to something greater than personal needs. In chaotic times, those who live for the community keep society from unraveling. They help when no one demands it, yield when no one sees, and speak for justice even when it doesn't benefit them. They don't act for acclaim. They act because they know if no one works for the common good, no one can live well. Community isn't an abstract idea. It's the result of small, kind acts repeated daily. Start by listening more than speaking, observing more than judging, sending a heartfelt check-in, helping a colleague anonymously, or sharing an experience so others feel less alone. These acts may not be scored or graded, but they shape a profound person. The Stoics believe true goodness needs no announcement. It exists quietly, yet powerfully, and spreads. If this resonates, hit the like button to affirm you believe in the power of community. Share in the comments one small act you can do today to live for others. And if you want to keep nurturing a life not just for yourself but for something greater, subscribe, because every strong person is shaped by the quiet connections they build along their journey. We often seek big changes from the outside, a new job, a dazzling success, or someone who fully understands us. But sometimes all you need to reset your mind and emotions is a small shift within. A moment of clearer awareness, a decision to live more deeply, a choice to be awake instead of reacting unconsciously. The 10 principles you've just explored aren't magic formulas. They're reminders that you already have what it takes to master your life: choice, awareness, and the courage to turn inward. No meditation needed, no gym required, just you, fully present with yourself each day. If you're wondering where to start, begin where you stand. Pick one principle, just one, and practice it today. Repeat it tomorrow, gently but persistently. Life won't change overnight, but you, the person right here, right now, will change bit by bit, quietly but steadily. If this video brought you something valuable, hit the like button to let me know you're on this journey too. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now to stay with us for what's next. Because the biggest changes always start with the smallest choices, and today you've chosen yourself.